This is our today. We will have our lecture number 10, and upon you are new and maybe you not understand what we are discussing because we already have completed 2.5 hours in previous lectures, and the recordings are available in your portal. So you can watch them as well, and I will arrange your makeup classes as well. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So today is our lecture number 10 of Introduction to Mobile Application Development, and the course outline which we are covering today is LO3, be able to develop a mobile application. AC 2.3.2, install and set up a project using a software development kit. SDK, then 3.3, demonstrate use of the tools and techniques of a software development kit. Then 3.4, demonstrate use of a software development kit to develop the client side of a mobile application. So this is your course outline, okay, of mobile application development. We have covered the LO1 and LO2 previously, and today we are covering LO3 and AC 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4. And its indicative content is here, which we will cover today. Okay, so moving towards the slides. Okay, so today lecture objectives are Android Studio installation, then purpose of SDK for client side development. And AC 3.2 is install and set up a project using a software development kit SDK. AC 3.3 demonstrates use of the tools and techniques of a software development kit SDK. AC 3.4 is demonstrate use of a software development kit SDK to develop the client side of a mobile application. Okay. So indicative content is learner should be able to install the chosen SDK and set up a project for an application. So we are using Android Studio, so we will install and set up Android SDK instead of iOS SDK. Tools and techniques include live development, simulator to test on a device. A simulator is a virtual device in which we test our application features, debugging, use of libraries and sample code, documentation, and activities and methods. Okay, so first of all, we have install and set up a project using a software development kit SDK. So you can get Android Studio set up from Get Into PC website. Okay. Sorry. Then you can see there you have specification for required for the installation, like how much RAM you need to have in your system, how much hard disks you need to have in your system, and what processor you need to have in your system. And I will show you. You can download from the Get Into PC website this Android Studio setup. And here you can see there are system requirements for Android Studio. We will install latest version of Android Studio. So it is Android Studio 2022. And before you start Android Studio 2022 pre-download, make sure your PC meets minimum system requirements. So operating system should be Windows 7, 8, 8.1, 10, or 11. Memory, it needs 8 GB of RAM. Hard disk space required 1 GB of disk space, and processor required Intel dual core or higher processor. Okay, so here you can write the Google Get Into PC website. Okay, once it will open, you can write here in search Android Studio. Okay, then go. Okay, so this is the latest version. You can download it, and these are the older versions. So this is the latest version you can download and you can install. Okay, and here you can see when you click on this page will be open. Okay, here it's mentioned what is Android Studio 2022 and features of Android Studio, what are different features, Android Studio technical setup details. Okay, what are the file, what is the full size, what is the file name, what is setup type. Okay, compatibility, architecture, it's 64-bit and latest version released on 1st March 2023. Okay, and here are the system requirements which I have mentioned in the slides. And from this button, you will download the Android Studio setup. Here you can see I have just downloaded before class. Okay, and once it's downloaded, it will be in zip folder, and if it is in zip folder, then you can extract it. And for the zip folder, you have to enter password, which is 123. So once you enter the password 123 in zip folder, it will be extracted. Okay, so next, how to install. Before installation, you have to see this tutorial. Here it's mentioned how to install the software. When you click on it, then you will have this video tutorial. Okay, it shows how you can install the Android Studio in your system. So as you are working in task 1 and task 2, I already briefed them. You people have to install this software into your system. This is your task for this week. Okay, and I will ask in next class, you either you have installed it or not. So if you are facing any you can say problems and not understanding anything, you can reach me out. I will solve your problems, because it takes a lot of time in installation. So you can start installation at that time when you don't have electricity, you can say breakdown. So it will continuously install in your system. Okay, so you can download this video guide as well, and you can also watch it, and you can install your Android Studio. Next, if we see here, I have mentioned one YouTube tutorial as well. You can also go through this tutorial and you can install your Android Studio, because when you install this, your system is ready. Then we will be able to do our next chapters, which are development. And you can see here we have to develop the application. In this, we have a practical work, but first we have to install the Android Studio. Then we will be able to implement our user requirements, which we have discussed in our schedule, that are login, making login form, making register form, making splash screen. So we once our software is ready to use, we will do practical work for our application. Okay. So next we have AC 3.3 demonstrates use of the tools and techniques of a software development kit SDK. Do you have any question regarding your installation of software or not?
No, Mr. No.
Okay, it's easy to install upon. You can also install, because when we start development, so you will be able to work with us parallel, and we will cover the previous task as well of the assignments. And it is good you can also install, because once the system is ready for working, then we will be able to develop our application, and we will be able to make activities and make login forms and other things which we have discussed in our previous task. Okay, so next we have AC 3.3 demonstrates use of the tools and techniques of a software development kit SDK. Tools and techniques include it should be live development, simulator to test on a device, debugging, use of libraries and sample code, documentation, activities and methods. So from these names, you may understand that live development means that whatever we develop live, like we are developing some application, we are designing its interface or we are making its backend code. So that is our live development. Simulator to test on a device. We have discussed in previous class about the emulator. Emulator is used for Android application and simulator is used for iPhone application. So in our case, as we are going to develop our application in Android Studio, we will use emulator for testing the device. We can use our mobile phone as well and virtual device as well. So we will see if a virtual device is working well, then we will test our application in the virtual device, which is emulator. And if it is not connecting properly, then we will do testing on our mobile phones. Okay, next debugging. Debugging means when you write a code, so you will debug it. Either it has some errors or it is perfectly. You will run the code. Use libraries and sample code. In Android Studio, we have different libraries and sample codes for different features of application. We can use them. Then documentation. Documentation tell us what is the purpose of any feature, or what is the if we have mentioned a button. So documentation show us that how we can use this button. Activities and methods. Activities are those which we perform, like this is a full cycle. For example, if we say that we have to perform our login activity, so what is the process of that activity? We will open our application, we will enter username and the email, then we will press the login button, and if it is done successfully, so we will say we have performed login activity. And methods are different code blocks, different chunks of code which are used to perform the actions. So let's see one by one all these things. Okay, live development. Live edit or live development is an experimental feature in the Android Studio that lets you update composable in emulators and physical devices in real time. This functionality minimizes context switches between writing and building your application, letting you focus on writing code longer without interruptions. So live development is experimental feature in which you will experiment different actions, and we will you will see that if you are inserting this code of log, then what is its appearance in the actual application. So this is how live development works. I will have such one of the website. Let me open that as well. Wait a second. Okay, here you can see this is live development. Like you are writing code here, okay, this is your code, and on the emulator or simulator, you are noticing what are different changes which are appeared in this device. Like in actual application, what is the impact of your live development? So you are writing your code, and in the device, in the emulator, you are seeing the uh, effect of that code. So whatever the code they have mentioned, they have write a text here. Okay, then Android Studios icon. Okay, then these are some buttons. Okay, so this is how we can say this is live development. So now here they have removed some of the functionality, some of the lines of code. Now color is also changed and the icon is also changed. So this is the live development. We can see that how different options are working. Okay. Okay. Next, we have simulator to test on a device. In the previous slide, we have seen how in the mobile device we are seeing the appearance of functions which we are writing in the code form. So again, if we will see here, so this is emulator or simulator. You can say simulator to test on a device. Here it's showing that they are writing the code and they are testing the code functionality in the simulator or emulator. And here you can see they have changed something and changed some block of code, and now you can see what how it's appeared in the mobile application or emulator. Sorry, on the mobile device or emulator. Okay, this is how simulator work for testing. Okay, an emulator in mobile testing is a virtual device that allows you to test your app by emulating a real Android device. A simulator in mobile testing is a virtual device for iOS devices such as iPhones and iPads. So, emulator is a mobile testing virtual device that allow you to test your application by emulating a real Android device. And the emulator is used for Android applications, and simulator is used for iOS for platforms, iPhones and iPads. Okay, next we have debugging. Okay, Android Studio provides a debugger that lets you do the following and more. Okay, debugging is the option in which you first you write a code, okay, block of code, and then you debug it. Either it is successful or it has some errors. So once you debug, if you have a right correct syntax, correct code, correct function you have mentioned, then it will debug successfully and you can run your block of code. And if not, then it provides you an error, so you need to correct that error, and then you can run your code of block of code successfully. Okay, so Android Studio provides a debugger that lets you do the following and more. Select a device to debug your app on. Okay, now they are saying that you have to select the device on which you want to debug your application. So device can be emulator or simulator or your mobile phone. Set breakpoint in your Java, Kotlin, and C or C++ code. So this is they're saying if you are using Java language or you are using Kotlin or C or C++ language, you can set a breakpoint. Breakpoint means you can select some point that from this point to this point we have to debug the code. So you can set your breakpoint in your code and then you will press this button. This is debug button and this is run button for Android Studio. So when you set breakpoint and you will click on this button, your code will be on debugging mode, and examine variables and evaluate expressions at runtime. So you have to examine different variables and expressions at runtime. Runtime means when you are debugging, it's your runtime now. Your application code is running. So if any errors occurs, you can correct them. Okay, next we have use of libraries and sample code. A library module is useful in the following situations: when building multiple apps that use some of the same components such as activities, services, or user interface layouts. Okay, so library module is useful when we have the following situation. First one is when we are building multiple applications and those applications have same components such as activities, services, or user interface layout. So for example, we have developed one application for school, okay, in which you can say that we have made a login form or a logout form or sign up form or register form. So when we are making another application, and for that application we also need to create a logout or sign up register form. So what we can do, we can use already built code to that application form development. So this is how these libraries and sample codes are used. And second is when building an app that exists in multiple APK variations such as free and paid versions that share components. Okay, so when we build an application which have multiple APK variations, APK different, they have different versions of APKs and such as free or paid versions. So we can use these sample codes and libraries. So you can see some of when you download some of the software, they show you that this is free version and this is paid version. As we take example of Zoom application. So in free version, we have a 40-minute limit of meeting and we can record it. And after 40 minutes, now we have to like now what we have, they are giving us a 10 minutes or 9 minutes, you can say time limit, and after that we will be able to send new link for meeting. Before sometime we don't have this time limit, and now they are saying that upgrade your version and you have unlimited access to resources. So this is how a free and paid version works for different applications. Okay, do you have any questions till now?
No, miss.
All clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next we have documentation. Code documentation is the description that helps to understand what each code does in the application. For instance, it helps to give a clear overview of what each variable does, what a particular function is in the project, whether it has a parameter or any return type, and what its impact is in the code, like details are being documented well. Okay, so as I already told you that what is documentation, it shows the functionality of different features of the uh, applications and how you can uh, interact with different buttons of the application, different features of the application. So here, as they have mentioned, that it helps to understand what each code does in the application. So this, if we can say that there is a block of code for login, okay, login button. So we will when we are making documentation, we will write that code and we will mention that this code is used for login button. Then it's help clear overview of what each variable does. Each variables are different variables. For example, we use x and x, y, z, a, b in the coding. to store data values. So in the documentation, we have to mention that if we are using a variable, so what is the purpose of this variable? Why we are using this variable in the application? So this is how documentation helps. This is also help developers, and when we hand over and deploy the application to the client, so they can see the documentation and they can understand the application as well, how they need to interact with the application. What a particular function is in the project. Particular function mean any functionality which you have added in your application. So you can mention that why you have added this functionality, and how this functionality can be performed, and whether it has a parameter or any return type. In programming, maybe you have worked, we have different loops, and when we run a block of code, so most of time in the end of the program we mention that return type equal to 0 or return equal to null. So this is how these variables work. Okay, so code documentation is usually used to understand what variables, classes, objects, functions are used in the application, and what is its purpose, and give information about does it have any parameters, receiver, or does it has have external links. So here again they are saying that code documentation is usually used to understand that if a variable is used in the application, what is its purpose? If we have used some classes, so what is that? What is the purpose of those classes? If we are using object to call some functions, so what is the purpose of that object? And if we are using some functions in the application, so what is the purpose of those functions in the application? So these all are so the documentation is used to understand all of these things. When we will start our coding development in our Android Studio, and we will use different variables, classes, objects, and functions in our application to complete the functionality of the application which is required in the scenario of the assignment. So I am giving you tasks that you have to install. You have to download Android Studio, and you have to install the Android Studio so that we can start our working on it. Okay, then we have activities and methods. An activity represents a single screen with a user interface, just like window or frame of Java. Android activity is the subclass of context theme wrapper class. Okay, and a method is a self-contained block of a code that performs a specific task. They provide a way of defining the behavior of an object, i.e., what the object does. Method break up large and complex calculations in program that might involve many lines of code into more manageable chunks. So methods is another form of a functions. Functions and methods are the same in the programming. Okay, so method activities represent a single screen with a user interface. It's just like a window or a frame. So as I have give you an example of login activity, we are going to perform a login activity. So what is its you can say user flow? We have to open the application, we have to enter username, we have to enter password, then we have to press the login button. And if we are not already signed in, so first we have to make our account in the application or any website or whatever we are using. So if we see here, if you see here in the example of activity, so we have activity launch, then we have on create method, okay, then on state, on start, on resume, okay, and then we can go to on then activity running. So when we are when we are performing one activity, so these all three methods are performed one by one. Then after that activity running. So for example, we have pressed the login button. So now activity is launched. Another activity comes into the foreground. Okay, so for example, when we are performing one activity, so we have launched another activity. So the first activity will go to the on pause mode, and the activity is no longer visible. So if activity we have performed and we are done with that activity, so it will be on stop mode. This the activity is finished or being destroyed by the system, then this on destroy function or method will be performed, and then activity will be shut down. This is how activity is performed. So, and if we see on stop, we have two options. App with higher priority need memory, so it can be paused, and otherwise app process skilled. So if the second activity which we have launched, if that activity need more space, more memory, then we have to stop our first activity, or we will fully killed, or you can say stop the process of first activity, and user navigate to the activity again. Okay, and if user navigate to the activity, and this is for first activity, and then it will go to the on start mode. User navigate to the activity, so it will go to the on restart, and then again the process is started from on start, on resume, then activity running, and all these all of this cycle will repeat again. This is how activities work in the Android. Okay, now next we have demonstrate use of a software development kit SDK to develop the client side of a mobile application. So client side of mobile application is what? Client side is what, which is the user interface of the application. So when we are using different application, we don't know what is the code behind this application. So we don't know the server side or back end of the application. We just interact with the front of the application. So here it's saying that what is the use of software development kit to develop the client side of application or front end of the application. Okay, a mobile SDK is a software package that contains a set of tools that can help to build, perform specific mobile applications, and development and implement new features in existing mobile apps. The resources contained in an SDK include libraries, document, code sample, guides, and APIs. Okay, so a mobile SDK is a software package in which we have set up tools, and it helps us to build up a platform specific mobile application. Platform specific mobile application means either we are using Android platform or we are using iOS platform. So as we are using the Android Studio for our Android application, so we will have Android SDK in our Android Studio. Once you will done your installation, so we will see all those features in our application and in our Android Studio environment. Okay, the acronym SDK is short for Software Development Kit. It works as a kind of a shortcut during the process of developing a mobile application. Thus, developers can build more complex functionalities without the need for in-depth domain knowledge. And SDK also save time and investment, as it can deliver a pre-built solution without a professional having to write code from scratch every time a new implementation is needed. So SDK help us that in when we use SDK, we don't need to uh, write all code from the scratch. Like for each functionality, we don't need to write code by ourselves. We can use libraries and sample codes, and we can build the application, and we can add those code and functionalities in our application. So this is how SDK work. Okay, unlike an API, an SDK does not just function as a communication bridge between two separate systems. It is a package that brings the materials needed to add new components. And this includes everything from core libraries and tutorials to the API themselves. Previously, we have discussed APIs are application programming interfaces, which perform a communication bridge between applications. So, whereas SDK is a full package in which we have different code components, we have different libraries, we have APIs, and we have different tutorials which we can use and we can develop our application. Okay, in some cases, an SDK can help in creating an entirely new application for an Android or iOS device. Another option would be to enhance existing apps by implementing features such as monetizing a tool through custom ads or including push notifications in the system. So here they are saying that in some cases, SDK can help in creating a entirely new application for an Android or iOS devices. And another option is that it would enhance an existing application by adding more features. Like if we use SDK, so we have different requirements of the school. So we definitely need to add our our custom features in the application. So okay, so here we have SDK examples. Some of the SDK examples. We have one SDK example is Facebook SDK. The Facebook Dev Kit allows applicants to okay. So SDK examples we were here about Facebook SDK. The Facebook SDK, Facebook Dev Kit Development Kit allows applications to offer the options to register and log in via a social network account. The SDK also allows integrating games and adding some marketing features. So here is the SDK example, which allows Facebook application to register and log in via different social network accounts. So it can be your Twitter account, your Google account. So it is allowing you to log in and register to those social networks. And this SDK also allows you in integrating games and adding some marketing features. Marketing features means that you can add, you can say different pages in your Facebook. Okay, you can create different pages and you can add your products there and you can boost your pages and you can use them for marketing purposes. Like when you boost some post or some products, its reach is it reaches to more audience. So you can sell out or you can say that your product can sell out to many audience and you can receive many orders from customers when you use Facebook as a marketing. Okay. Now double click on by Google. The double click on mobile ads. SDK lets developer create ads, banners, interactive videos, or other formats and earn revenue from them. The app can even manage the ad according to the target audience. So you may have seen that different applications, when you use them, they are giving you different ads. For example, one of the application I have seen, I think so. One is I forget its name. I think so. Snapchat. Snapchat is one of the application in which you have different features. I don't know. I did not use that application. But when you use any feature of it and it gives you different ads, like you have to see those ads and then you can move to next task or next feature. And you can also skip those ads as well. And one example we can see ads. One example of ads we can see about YouTube. So you can see that when a channel which have more subscribers and more views, when you open any video from those channels, you can see that there are different ads running either from products, either they are different websites ads, like sometimes they are saying about use Grammarly in your you can say daily work, and you can improve your English. Use site 1 2 3 to make your websites. So like this, you have different ads, you have different tea ads, and different oil ads. You can say that different product ads you can see in your YouTube videos. So whenever we as you can say audience see those ads, the owners, or you can say the YouTube channel owner, they get revenue, like YouTube pay them their revenue in form of money. So this is the purpose of ads, and here you can see there's mentioned that you can earn revenue from ads. So like nowadays it's very common that everyone is making a YouTube channel and adding different videos and shorts, and they are saying subscribe my channel and like this and share with others. So as soon as they have completed the limit, like I think so 1000 subscribers and 4000 watch hours when you have on your YouTube channel, then it gets monetized, and you will get payments from YouTube. So this is how these ads run on different applications and generate revenue. Next, we have Unity. The Unity platform allows creating games in 2D and 3D as well as interactive experiences. It is currently one of the best platforms in the world and offers learning center with a community of willing to exchange ideas about the tool. Okay, Unity is a software which is used to develop 2D and 3D games. Many games which you are playing online, you one of the example is Ludo Star, I think so, Ludo Star, and one is PUBG. So these are the interactive games. Many other games are also developed in Unity 3D software, and you can say this Unity software is used, and it is also having a SDK. So it is used by developers to develop the games. Then we have Google Maps. Many applications that have the need to include maps such as food delivery or riding apps use the Google Maps SDK to add the functionality. So I have previously given you a example of InDrive app. It's very common in Pakistan, and nowadays whenever I see a video on YouTube, so there is another riding app, Yango, and those are also using Google Maps feature for location in their application. And any food delivery app, you can say Food Panda, they are also using the Google Maps application, Google Map SDKs in their application, and to you can say see the location and to follow the location for delivery. Okay, then we have file-based cloud messaging. File-based cloud messaging (FCM) is a cross-platform push notification sending solution, meaning it works for apps on iOS, Android, or web apps. It is widely used by mobile app developers. Okay, file-based cloud messaging is a cross-platform push notification sending solution, and it works for different platforms. Either it be a Android platform, or a iOS platform, or a web application. and it is widely used by developers, and file based database is used for real-time database, and we will use this file-based database in our application to connect our application into backend database. Okay. Okay. Next, we have generating a client-side SDK, because we are our main topic is how development kit is what is the use of development kit to develop the client side of mobile application. So generating a client-side SDK. Client-side SDKs are designed to provide a way for you to interact with an API within your application's front-end code. Server-side SDKs, in contrast, interact with your back-end code. So now client-side SDKs are designed to interact from front-end, like users. The users which are interacting with the application's front end. So client-side SDK is used for front-end code of the application, whereas server-side SDKs interact with the back end of the application, and it makes them more suitable for processing and handling data that does not directly involve user interactions on the front end. So in the back end, you can say that as a users, we don't interact with the back end of any application. Either we are using Zoom application, we are using a WhatsApp, we are using a Facebook application. We don't know which coding techniques, which programming languages, which APIs are used in that application, in this application. At the end, which database is connected, we don't know. We just interact with the front end of the application. So client-side SDK help us to maintain interactions with the front end of the application. And client-side client SDK contains wrapper classes that you can use to call the API from your application without having to deal with HTTP requests and responses. So in the client-side SDK, we have classes named wrapper classes, and we can directly call API from our application without dealing with HTTP request and response. HTTP requests are what requests, like you can say that, for example, when I have shown you here that from get into PC website, you can go to like you can go to get into PC website, and you can download and install your application. Sorry, Android Studio. Okay, so now I just you can say just open the Google. Okay, this is front end of the browser, and I just write the get into PC website, and it is available in my front end. I don't need to interact with the back end of the application. I don't know what the code is used at the back end of this browser. I just using the front end, and I reach to the get into PC website. And now if I write here the studio name, software name, and I will press this, then it will come to me, and we can download it as I have told you previously. So this is how client-side SDK works, and we don't need to deal with HTTP requests and responses. Anyone can generate an SDK for any API. You do not need a Swagger Hub account or to be an API owner. So when we are working with client-side SDK, we can generate SDK for our API, any API, and we don't need a Swagger Hub account, or we don't need to be a API owner. We can use API owner. So if we take example of food delivery or rider application for Google Map, they don't have any. They are not owner of Google Map APIs. They are just using, and they are just launching the API in their application, and they are using the Google Map APIs in their application. Okay. So here are some steps for the client-side SDK download. Open the API page in Swagger Hub. If the API has several versions, select the version for which you want to generate the code. So either 2.0, 2.1, 1.0. So whatever version you want to install, you can select and you can download. Then from the export menu, select the client side SDK and then the desired language or framework. Now you have to go to the export menu and then you have to select client side. This will be shown in the next figure, in the next slide. And then the desired language or framework. And languages may mark with an asterisk use custom code generation options as configured by the API editors. So whatever the language which have asterisk mark, they use a custom code generation options in which you can custom code mean that you can write your own code and you can configure them as a API editors. Okay, so here you have export button. Okay, in this you can select the SDK and here these are the languages: Apex, C Sharp, Dart, Flash, Go, Groovy, Java, JavaScript. So you can select whatever the language you are going to use and you can install client-side SDK and then download and unzip the SDK and you have to install. So do you have any question till now?
No, miss.
Okay, here are the links from where I have gathered the data for this lecture. You can go through them. I have just picked the content which is related to outline, but if you want to go through in more depth, then you can go through. And the detailed description we will when we will develop our application. Like this is your task for this week. Like you have to install your Android Studio. You have to download and then you have to install it. I will see other detailed tutorials if I can find. So I will share those tutorials as well, so you don't have any confusion and you can smoothly download and install your Android Studio. Okay, so this is for today.